Hey everybody, Ben here from Cinder Studios, and I'm back with 4 things that I love that are deeply creative, but are not actually painting. So if you consider yourself a creative person, you probably have a lot of different interests, not just one. If you're like me and you're a visual artist, you probably love drawing or painting, but at the same time, you also have a lot of other creative outlets on top of that. So for today, I want to talk about 4 of them that, for me, are just really good creative outlets and allow me to explore my creativity in ways that aren't just trying to copy an image or trying to make a new story or something like that, or maybe something actually exactly like that. So first up, we've got cooking. I've actually found, since being on my own, that I actually really like cooking for myself, and occasionally for some other people too. It's just really unique how meat is sort of like your canvas, and the veggies are kind of like the paint, and then the spices are like your brushes. The things that actually allow you to kind of do things the way you want to do them. Same thing depending on your cooking styles, whether it's a bake or a fry or a sear. I really love to be able to experiment and work with different materials and different ingredients, the way I sort of play with different media in paint. You know, I can start simple and just say, okay, just throw some meat and some veggies in a pot and just cook them and see what happens. And then sort of I can creatively just take, like, I'll take some of this stuff and take some of this stuff and, you know, build unique and interesting flavors. Plus, at the end of the whole cooking process, you get to plate it up and say, that looks awesome, I cannot wait to eat this. Branching out from cooking, but almost sort of in the same realm, is the art of cocktails. Now, a couple of years ago, I started sort of a home bar, and I actually did sort of some failed experiments with creating a short little YouTube series where I made cocktails, which didn't really turn out so well. But what I really found, and continue to find interesting, is that creating a good drink is both really easy, but also really easy to screw up if you don't know what you're doing. So getting just a couple of your little basics down, and as soon as you do that, it's sort of the same thing of you have more or less a canvas, a paint element, and sort of a brush element. So your dry spirits, so rum, vodka, whiskey, tequilas, those are your sort of canvas. And then you can use flavored liqueurs to enhance that, sort of the way you would with paint on a canvas. And then you have like bitters, glassware, and garnishes to make it look pretty. That's your rendering phase. You're basically rendering the drink and making it sort of a well-rounded, beautiful presentation, as well as something that tastes absolutely fantastic. I should note, though, if you're not of legal drinking age in your local country, state, or province, I do not encourage that at all. Another thing I really love that is very, very creative is music. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. It's like, Ben, music is art. Yes, it is. I'm definitely not going to deny that. I almost always make the distinction, though, when I say art, I specifically say music or artist, musical artist, specifically because, or artist and musician, I usually say that way. Because for me, art is visual. Art is a painting. Art is a sculpture. When I say art, I think of that stuff. A lot of people, when they say art, like, oh, they just sort of blanket music into that, or like, oh, well, music's in that. It is, but it's still music. It's still that separate thing. But yes, it is artistic. Now, I'm no master musician by any means. I plink a little on guitar. I have a mandolin as well, and I definitely don't consider myself much of a vocalist. But I just like being able to create sound where there is no sound, and kind of eventually being more or less inspired by either a melody or a rhythm and saying, this kind of sounds good together, I think I'm going to try and work on this, trying to produce it up a little bit. So whether that be an actual instrument or working on my computer and working in Ableton to create different beats, different things like that, I think it's really rather interesting to be able to do that. And it's a really great outlet to just, like, when I need a break from just brush to canvas time, I'll pick up my guitar and I'll play for a bit and kind of reset my mental circuits and kind of get back into a creative mood that way. And the final thing that I love that is really deeply creative but is not painting is writing. I love telling stories. I always have. I used to make short films, and there was a certain point where I couldn't make short films anymore. Mostly because of time constraints and trying to get people together, and it's a logistical nightmare to be able to make films, especially the older you get with your friends. I think at any given time I'm always working on at least one story or short story or even something more novel length. I'm actually working on rewriting a book I wrote in college called The Demon Gate Chronicles. That's this deep-rooted redemption story that focuses on themes of redemption and friendship and love and loss and all that fun stuff. It's a good, fun fantasy adventure story. Working on it just little bits at a time. It's probably going to take me another 2 years to finish it, but I just love going in and chapter by chapter, just telling new stories, new adventures for the characters to go on. That's really, really fun for me. The same way I escape into a painting and put that little figure in the painting and make this big world for the figure to explore. It's boiling it down to having these interesting characters in these situations and wanting to tell these little more individualized stories as part of a larger story as well. I'm actually not a huge reader, believe it or not. As much as I write, I actually don't read books much at all, but I seem to write them. I seem to write them a lot more than I read them. Probably not the best writer in that regard, but again, it's one of those things that's like it's a way to tell stories, and it's deeply creative, and I absolutely love doing it. So what about you guys? What are your passions outside of art? Do you have any? I hope you do. Or is art one of the side passions that actually accompany something bigger for you? If it is, what is that big passion for you? Be sure to share all of the creative things that you love in comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Get subscribed if you're not already. Consider supporting me on Patreon. And this has been from Cinderblock Studios. See you guys next time.